I have been a makeup consultant for 24 years, but that is different than a professional makeup artist. I did not go to school as a cosmetologist or as a makeup artist, and I've always been very curious about the tricks of the trade. I recently had my makeup done by a professional, but at the top of her game, someone who is sought after, and I learned some very cool things, and that's what I want to share in this video. Like I said, I am not a makeup artist by trade. And so I'm going to tell you what I learned, and then I'm going to show you how I'm applying it right now. But I'm far, far, far from being as good at it, obviously, than someone who has been doing it professionally for a long time. So let me start with a story. I have three of the best children ever. They are funny, intelligent, responsible, amazing in every way. When my girls were in middle school, since I was a makeup consultant, we had a birthday party where we had all of the guests team up, and one was the makeup artist and one was the model. But the key or the trick was, the twist was that the makeup artist was blindfolded. And it was hilarious, okay, as you can imagine. And I attempted this video yesterday, and I felt like I looked like someone had been blindfolded and put my makeup on because I was trying so hard to do it just like she did it. And I'm not there, okay? But I can tell you what I observed and then give it my best shot, as long as you'll extend some grace. All right. So that's where I'm coming from. So I'm Michelle Fox from Michelle Fox Beauty. And today I'm going to show and tell what I observed. A few things I want to point out from the beginning. First of all, I had my back to the brushes and the makeup and everything. I was facing a ring light. I was on a very precarious chair. That's irrelevant, but it was kind of scary. I did not have a mirror in front of me. And there were so many girls in the room that when someone else was getting their makeup done, it was almost impossible to see what was happening. I caught a few glimpses, but I am mostly relaying this based on what I felt her doing on my face. Okay. So I guess that is kind of peculiar. But I did learn a lot. I really did. Okay. So get excited, because this is going to be, I think, very useful, very interesting. You may or may not want to apply it every day, but I think that the more you understand the strategy, the reasons why certain things are done in a certain order or with a certain brush, the more effective your makeup application will be. So the first thing that I was told was to arrive with a totally bare face. So I came, and I take things literally. So I didn't have on like any moisturizer or eye cream or anything. And I noticed that she did not apply that stuff. So I would suggest, if you're getting your makeup professionally done, come with your skin prepped with your skincare routine. And even primers probably wouldn't hurt, because I don't know, to be perfectly honest, if she used primers or not, because like I said, this was all just what I was feeling her put on my face. And when I was watching other people, I did not see her tuck into any primers, but she did use a setting spray at the end. And I will, talk about that at the very end. So anyway, so here's what I observed of when she did the foundation. A few things. First of all, she did take into account our undertone, but she did it like in a nanosecond. All right. She would just kind of look at you. She used her hand like a palette, and she would reach in and use maybe 3 different shades, mix it together in the back of her hand. And then she always used a wet sponge to apply it. So some takeaways there are that if you're not getting the right shade with your foundation, it's okay to mix them, to use your hand as a palette, and to use a wet sponge. And the next thing was, I noticed that she only applied it to like the lower half of my face and then this perimeter up here. She didn't really go too close to my brows or around my eyes yet. Okay. She did that a little bit later. And before she did anything, she put our hair back, but she didn't use, like a bow, or what's it called? Like a wrap that pulls everything back. She used clips, so that when she was done and she took our hair out, it didn't look too goofy. So I'm going to do that. See, I told you I'd do things exactly. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and put on my foundation now, as I recall her doing. Alrighty, here we go. So in the interest of time, we're just going to zip through this because I've pretty much already told you the blow by blow. All right. Love this. This probably isn't exactly how she did it. Okay. A couple things that I remember is that even though she did this first pass, as we were going through the process, every now and then she would dip back in and add a little something. And I do remember her kind of bringing it down toward my neck just a little bit, probably just like an inch or so. So, this will continue to be layered. This was just kind of the initial laying of it. All right. Next, we're going to talk about eyes. I observed that she worked in a very precise area, covering very small areas at a time. She used very, very tiny brushes for most of what she did, especially on the outside. The brushes tended to be flat and slanted. When she was laying down the color in a precise area with the flat brushes, she would wet the brush ahead of time, which I assume was with setting spray. When she was buffing it out, those brushes were dry. So those are the bigger, fluffier blending brushes. I noticed that whereas I tend to kind of come high and outside, she kept it all very close in. I would say the farthest point was where you can feel your orbital bone, and I don't think she went beyond like where the orbital bone ends. Okay, so like I tend to come way out here. She kept it all right in here. I don't recall her spending a lot of time focusing on making the crease higher than it normally is or anything like that. I remember spending a lot of time on this outer edge, a lot of time tight lining. So that's when you go under your lashes. And then she would go on top of the lashes with a powder shadow. And when it was all said and done, when my eyes were open, you could see some dimension, but like I said, there wasn't like a lot of color up high, and yet my eyes didn't look droopy. That part was really interesting. So that's the part I'm still trying to figure out. A couple other things. When she lined underneath, she would wet the brush. I believe she used a powder shadow, and then she brought it out, but just a smidge. But when I looked closely as a makeup person, I could tell that where that came out, where that extended, it was not like blended in with this outer area. All right. So like there was a distinct little tail, ever so slight. Okay. And I think that when you get your false lashes on, that all has to do with it. So we'll talk more about that in a second. She used cream eye color on the big part of your mobile lid, like mostly in the center. And then she didn't apply her light colors until the end. So I usually go light, medium, dark. She went very dark. She used probably 5 different colors in that outer area with 5 different brushes. I believe she did the crease, and then she did the cream, and then maybe a powder on the inner area, and then under the brow. Okay, so I'm going to attempt that to the best of my ability. Here we go. Okay, so first you're going to see me what's called tight lining underneath my upper lashes. So that is just lining super duper close to the root of your lashes, and it makes your lashes look much fuller. Then I went along the top coming from up above, also lining, but trying to keep it very precise, very close to my lashes. And then finally, I used a powder shadow and just lined underneath, attempting to bring that little tail out like I described. However, it didn't go as planned. All right, I already feel like I went out too far with that. What can I do? All right, so this is me trying to fix that. And then after I fiddled around with that for a little bit, I started in with the darker colors on the outside. So I would lay down the dark color with a wet, skinny brush, and then I would sort of feather it out with the fluffier blending brush. And I just kept doing that over and over in that outer area using different colors and different brushes, but just staying in a very precise area. And I did add a little bit of black just to really make it even more dramatic than it already was. So once I was happy with that, then I started to put in my mid-tone, and like I said, I didn't really worry about the exact placement. I just pretty much did it right in the crease and moved on to the liquid eyeshadow or cream eyeshadow on the mobile part of my lid. And then after I had that laid down, I went ahead and used a powder shadow, just like a light powder shadow that almost matched it. I went under my brows and in the inner area, and then periodically would just grab a blending brush to blend the edges. But I did not spend a lot of time blending because I just really wanted to keep it fairly precise, and I'm continuing to struggle with that outer line. So everything, like if you follow, where my brow ends, it's like all of the makeup is within that area. It's in the orbital bone within the perimeter of my brow. Or if I were to, use that as like a wall, it's not going out past that. So I found that interesting. All right, let's talk about brows. So when she did brows, she used a pomade. I always think it looks like pomade to me, but I guess it's called pomade. So she had something in a jar. I don't have that. So I'm going to use shadow, just a powder, a brow powder, which is my eyeshadow. You can use eyeshadow as a brow powder. Let's see. And she wasn't super precise. She used something with like just a smallish round head. Didn't spend a lot of time on it. And so let's see what that looks like. All right. And that was when she came back in with foundation, and I'm guessing some concealer as well. I'm going to put just a little bit of foundation, and then I'll put some concealer with a brush. She did that right along the edge of the brow, just to, I'm assuming, to make it look more precise. All right. All right, so now we're going to move on to lashes. She did use false lashes. She asked if I wanted short or long. She laid them on my eye and then trimmed them. And here are some things I noticed. I chose long. They were like the demi wispies where they get longer toward the end. And the way that she trimmed them was so that they did not go all the way down as long. Okay, here. All right, my eye is droopy. So this part of my eye is ever so slightly lower than this part of my eye. Okay, it droops down. So she did not bring the lashes all the way to the end. She stopped probably at like straight across from this. So probably like about here. And I did not know that at the time. I didn't actually know it till I took them off and was looking at them and then put them on again the next day. I'm like, oh, wow, these are actually, shorter than my, how wide my lashes are. The length of my eyelashes, not the length, the width, whatever. So I found that interesting, and I'm sure she did that because I have a droopy eye. So that part is going to be based on, do you want short or long? What shape are your eyes? I have one eye bigger than the other. And so, when I took them off, one was smaller than the other, the lashes. So all of that was interesting. She just used a traditional glue, let it dry a little bit, set it down. And then after she did that, she let that dry for quite a while. So what was she working on while she did that? She might have been working on cheeks while she was letting that dry. But she let the glue dry. Then after it was dry, she added mascara so that it blended my natural lashes with the false lashes. And she took the skinniest liquid liner I've ever seen and then went along the seam and slightly out. Maybe that's where the out part came from. Slightly out, just to blend it all, I think. So I don't have one of those. So I will come up with something like that. All right, here we go. I might need to talk through some of this. All right, so these are already cut. These are the lashes that she actually used. But it, it looked like something like this, where she would just lay it on there, and kind of look at it and decide, where she wanted to put it. So when I was trying to do the same, I kept making the mistake of putting the end all the way at the end, way over here, when I realized that I needed to start at the beginning because she had it end sooner than that. You know what I mean? Wow. Let's see if you can watch and learn. You'll see in a moment that I am the one who needs to watch and learn. She had me, let's see, I was looking down. She had me looking down and she's up above, and then she, set it on. But, I have limitations because I'm putting it on myself. Suffice it to say, I will likely never again do a false eyelash attempt on film. This is not my forte. Hopefully you will still have a takeaway of some kind. And that is why I don't train on putting on false eyelashes. I'll try a different technique this time. All right, so the difference was that the first time I applied the glue, tried to get it on, then I put like a liner on top of it. But what you don't know is that is actually a glue liner. So the second time, I just went ahead and laid that liner down, put my lash on without using glue on the lash. I just like stuck it to the liner, which I find much easier. Moving on to cheeks. I did notice some cool stuff about cheeks, so don't go anywhere. Hold up. Okay. I have a hard time getting my cheek color just right. I feel like I put on a lot of it, and by the time I go on camera, I look really washed out. And so in my head, I'm thinking I need more or I need darker. I noticed that every person that she did cheek color for, she used a very light, subtle cheek color. And I kind of in the back of my mind thought, I'm probably going to look really washed out in the photos, but I did not. So I've been trying to use lighter cheek colors just to kind of learn, how that all works exactly. She used a cream, and she, I don't know if she had it like on a wand or what, because I was just feeling like dot, dot, dot. And then I was watching, I could see when she did it on other people's that she was putting dots on there. But I have the kind that's in a tube. So I'm going to put it on my hand and then dot it. So this is a super light color. I've never used this color before, but the other colors that I've tried, my other cream colors just weren't quite right. So I'm trying this one today. So she did like a few dots. Wow, you really can't see it. I might have to go darker. A few dots like right along the cheekbone. And she did not come very close to the nose. So it was, pretty much, it was on the cheekbone, but it was not very close to the nose, and it went out to the hairline. Yeah, I might need to do something darker, but I don't know. Let's see. And then she blended it with a brush. Maybe this is going to work. Yeah, I guess less is more. I'm more of a more is more person. All right. And I know that she did highlight along the top of my cheekbone. I could see it afterward, and it looked really, really good. That's a step that I don't always include. And it was a shimmery, I think it was a powder, but I'm using a powder. All right, just right along the top of the cheekbone. And I do think she used some contour, but I am not super good at that. So I'm going to do what I know. But I just remember her kind of going around the perimeter and on my chin and, doing what professionals know how to do, but not so much on the cheeks. I mean, I felt like she used it mostly to shape my face. So I don't know. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to do this just because I can. Okay. Clean this off. And I'm trying to think if I'm skipping anything because I'm pretty sure we brought it on home with lips and setting spray. You know, she might have been using like a setting powder because I do remember just some, just kind of some random strokes. And I am all about setting powder. And my foundation did last all day. So everything lasted all day. All right. So as far as what's different with lips, she used a brush to apply it. I didn't see what she was using, but it did not feel like one of those like liquid matte, last all day type. It felt creamy and it really did last all day. If I could find out anything, I would like to find out what brand that was. All right. I just have to say, I cannot handle looking at my lashes. Something is not right. But trust me, they looked really good when she did it. Just look away. She did not use lip liner on me, but that doesn't mean she didn't use it on other people. And that was that. She took these out. Gotta fluff my hair a little bit because she always did like before and after pictures. And if you're wondering why I didn't ask her about all the different brands and stuff, when I first sat down, I said, "Is there a certain brand that you use?" And she said, "Oh no, every brand has certain strengths and weaknesses, so I just use a variety." So I did ask that. And like I said, I couldn't see what she was using. And she had so many people's makeup to do. And it was very loud in there. And there was music playing. And so I just, went with the flow. But I did notice that she dipped into a Tarte palette for my eyes a couple times. And someone else, when they were getting their makeup done, asked her what kind of setting spray she used. So hold that thought. She did use quite a few, lots of passes of setting spray. And she said, "Oh, it's just some unknown brand called Skindinavia." Well, I happen to know that Skindinavia is like sort of like the original and the best. And they must have a patent because many other brands are actually using Skindinavia with their name on it. So I'll give you some examples. Urban Decay All Nighter, super famous. That is Skindinavia. The brand that I use, which is Mary Kay finishing spray, makeup finishing spray, this is Skindinavia. So I just find that interesting that you can buy it like through skindinavia.com or something like that. But also a lot of the other brands that we use, they are using the same thing. I just think that's interesting. Anyway. Okay. So imagine this, but better. And that's what it looked like. And it honestly, it lasted all day, looked fantastic in photos. I felt like my lips were dry, so I kept putting my own lip gloss on it. But anytime I checked the mirror, I could still see the color of the lipstick that she put on me. So I'm seriously like, kind of obsessed with finding out what that was. But this was it. And I just loved it. I felt like a princess. But so if you have any questions, let me know, because I know that's a lot of information. Like I said, I don't do this professionally, so this is not necessarily the finished look to anticipate. But I just thought that you would enjoy hearing my observations, because I love watching a professional in any field do what they do. I love to learn from what others are good at. And so this was just such a privilege, and it's just so much fun. So let me know in the comments what you learned, what you would do differently if I misspoke, if you are a makeup artist and you're like, "That's not why she did that." Feel free to comment on that. And if you want to know any of the shades that I'm using, I guess I'll go ahead and just put that in the description of the video. But like I said, these are mine. So this isn't necessarily what she put on me that day. This is what I'm doing to try to mimic it. So anyway, if you are catching me on Facebook, I hope that you take a moment to like and follow my business page, Michelle Fox Beauty. And if you are watching on YouTube, I surely hope that you are subscribed to my channel so that we can stay in touch. I'm sure I'll be coming back and maybe correcting myself, having a few follow-up videos on this. But I would just love to hear in the comments what your takeaways are. So thanks so much for your time and attention, and make sure that you check out the description on my YouTube channel, because I always have lots of additional info and usually some freebies for you. So I'll see you next time.